And I got a bunch of accolades, man. I got the most influential person in real estate. I got the best blog in real estate. And remember, I'm 29 and I've never even bought or sold a home or been a realtor. Things have changed.
Oh, hello there. Welcome to the Studio Sherpas podcast. That thing. Yeah. Hey, I feel like I've been gone forever. I did the last intro, outro podcast, I don't know, feels like almost 2 weeks ago. But I'm back! And you probably never even knew I was gone. Well, if you're new to this show, just want to let you know, my number one goal with this show is to help you grow your video business. So if you don't have a video business, you're not thinking about starting one, you're probably in the wrong place. But if you're my mom, thanks for listening, Mom. Love you. I'm Ryan Coral, and I have my own video production company, so I'm not just making this stuff up. You're about to hear all my mess-ups and failures, and I'm glad that you're here for the journey. We've got lots to cover today, so let's jump right in. I can't believe this is episode 122 of the Studio Sherpas podcast, and our guest today is a guy named Chris Smith. But before I can talk, I swear it. I got my college degree in speech communication, graduated cum laude or something like that. Before we dive into this interview, I just want to share a quick story. Last week, I was with my team in Tallahassee, Florida. We were filming cattle. I learned that it's not cows. Well, there were cows there, but cattle, because there was bulls and there was also steers. Steer, right? Okay. And if you don't know what a steer is, ask your neighbor. So we're making a piece about beef, and it was super fun. It was super fun being with my team for an entire week down there, interviewing cowboys, conservationists, fifth generation beekeepers, foresters, you name it. Incredibly interesting piece. And we got to work with our friend Jordan, or Torden, as we like to call him, the producer from Colorado. Great guy. Has helped us on a bunch of different projects. We actually met him through the super secret filmmakers group. Did I get it right? SSF, whatever. If you're not part of that group, it's a great group. And we've met some really cool people in there and have hired really cool people from there. So anyway, what we're ultimately creating this 20 to 40 minute documentary that this organization is going to use to help sell their beef to wholesalers and restaurateurs, and should be super cool. It's beautiful. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm not sure if you've ever been to Tallahassee, but so much beautiful country, and the cows and the horses and the people were awesome. So what are you working on? I'm curious to know. What are you working on? I'm just going to pause here real quick. You tell me, what are you working on? I also want to say, I'm so weird. I know. No coffee for me this afternoon. This is just unadulterated me. Reminder, news alert, flash news alert. This work is hard, my friend. In case you forgot, I am human. I know most of you probably think I'm just like a bot with artificial intelligence that just has a face for radio. Just kidding. But for real, I was gone all last week on this project. I had zero time to keep up on the administrative stuff that I have to do inside of my business and new sales. If it wasn't for my team back home managing projects and taking care of details, I would be done. I'd be washed up. I'd be super stressed out. But instead, I'm only a little bit overwhelmed. I'm a little bit stressed. I don't like to use that word, but just a little bit. Like, I don't have as much jobs going right now as I would like, and I don't have as many clients right now as I would like. So, and I have lots of admin stuff to catch up on. And if any of you have reached out to me in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been a little slow to respond. But we keep going. And so just a reminder, encouragement to you, this work is hard, and it's so worth doing. And I've said this before, but I believe it. The world needs you. They need your gift. They need you to be able to give it to the world. So I love this interview with Chris Smith from Curaytor. There's also a funny story that I'm going to share with you guys at some point about what happened minutes after my interview with him. Just tons of irony going on. It's so great, super fun. But if you come to the Onward Summit, then I'll be sure to tell you that's our first ever in-person conference. And you can find out more at studiosherpas.com/onward, because that's the name of it. So Chris Smith from Curaytor joins us today. Super awesome episode. He even said he said at the end, I don't know if he said this during the episode or when we got off. I think it was when we got off. He said that I seemed like a really, really great guy. That's right. That was the best part. He's like, you seem like a really great guy. But how would he know? We just hung out on, the podcast thing for an hour. Okay. Here's what you're going to hear from him today. What to do immediately if you are in need of acquiring new leads. My hand is raised, so I'm excited to listen to this episode. Also, we talk about redefining the finish line with your clients and client projects. And here is a spoiler alert. It's not when the edit is complete. And then also, Chris shares an awesome tip on how to add valuable upsells to clients that could be worth $10,000. For real, that is not clickbait. Well, I guess this isn't really clickbait because you can't click on that, but that's no joke. You're going to hear an example he uses with me, and I'm going to try it. I'm going to go for it. So take a listen. My hope with this episode is that after you're done, you're going to feel inspired to take a serious look at how you are selling what it is that you're doing, and you're going to walk away with some things that you can do that are going to help you grow your video business. With that, let's jump into the episode with Chris Smith from Curaytor. Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Studio Sherpas podcast. My name is Ryan Coral, and with me today is Chris Smith, who is the co-founder of Curaytor and also author of a book called, oh my gosh, I'm like on a roll and I'm like, wait, why am I looking at my notes? Called The Conversion Code. There are not very many, I love books, and there are not very many books that I actually read or listen to back to back. But Chris, this is one that I've listened to about 3 times in total.
Awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, Chris is a USA Today bestselling author and co-founder of Curaytor. I already said that. Digital marketing and modern sales company that helps businesses grow faster. In the last 4 years, he used the blueprint in the book, The Conversion Code, to grow Curaytor to nearly $15 million in annual recurring revenue without raising any venture capital, which is a huge feat. His work has been featured in Adweek, Forbes, Inc., I thought it was like Forbes Inc., but Inc. Inc. magazine, Entrepreneur, Fortune, the Huffington Post, all the ones that everybody knows. So Chris, I'm super excited to have you. I loved hearing a little bit of your story about having worked with Dan Gilbert and Quicken Loans and sort of the Detroit area here. You're a fan of LeBron James. I think that's what your shirt is. Am I?
Yeah. Well, I'm not as big of a fan of him this year, but certainly a big fan.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the show, man. Super good to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Excited to be here.
I'll be interested to see how much our podcast editor leaves in there of me flubbing through that great introduction. That was pretty epic.
I'm not offended at all.
So paint a picture here. How did you end up here? When did you realize that this really the heart of the conversion code, there's a lot of sales, right? Sort of like intermingled throughout that whole thing and in your business today. When did you realize that this was a gift that you had?
I think I appreciate that, even that you would call it that. I think that I realized I had a gift in sales very, very early into my sales career, but I didn't realize there was this ongoing, Game of Thrones kind of battle between sales and marketing that existed forever. So I sort of was like a boiler room, cubicle, dial for dollar, cold call. That's where I came up.
Yeah.
And that was pre-internet, to be clear, pre-social at least.
Dude,
pre-YouTube,
how are you?
Pre-Facebook, and so but the guys that taught me in the early 2000s, they actually came up in the 80s. Like they're like the offspring of Jordan Belfont from Wolf of Wall Street. They're like Alec Baldwin from Glengarry Glen Ross. Like if
the closers.
Exactly. So I came from that like hardcore, no nonsense boiler room sales setting. And I just kept selling. I sold loans at Quicken Loans. I sold software at Realtor.com. And what happened, to be clear, is I got a job in outside sales. It's the only reason everything else ended up happening, because when you're in the cubicle and you're, helping thousands of people a year redo their loan, you're only going to grow your brand so much. There's actually kind of a system built to keep you in the machine. Versus when I was doing outside sales for Realtor.com in Florida, I was the only employee in the whole state. So it was very much kind of an entrepreneur setup. So I would go to Miami and do my office appointments during the day, and then I would be in Miami all week alone. My wife and kids are back in Orlando. And so I started creating content through an email list, through a Facebook page, through a YouTube channel in 09, 08. So it's a decade. Yeah. But the purpose of it was actually to kind of scale my help to the people that were buying from me, right? So I've always been a salesperson that wanted to provide more value than cost. And sometimes in sales, we don't always get to choose what we sell. And so I was selling a product that I knew a lot of people never used. I knew they would buy it and they would get excited about it, but I knew a lot of times they would never log in and get the most out of it. And so I had that sort of deep moral obligation to give them more value than cost. And let's be clear, the cost was $30, $99 a month. And so I started teaching and training because what I recognized was they're not struggling with our software. They're struggling with the internet. Like this stuff is all new. They didn't know that they should be using Gmail, not AOL. Right. They didn't know that they should be using Chrome, not Internet Explorer. They didn't know that they should have an iPhone, not a BlackBerry. They didn't know that they should maybe have a MacBook and not a Gateway 19-inch, 82-pound laptop. And so I sort of, as a salesman first, and then presenting to people that were struggling with software, I just basically noticed they're also struggling with Twitter's software. They're also struggling with Facebook's software. And so what I started doing is teaching all of that and then pitching what we sold at the end. And my email list became a blog, and my videos on my phone became videos on YouTube. And I got a bunch of accolades, man. I got the most influential person in real estate. I got the best blog in real estate. And remember, I'm 29 and I've never even bought or sold a home or been a realtor. What I would say is that, and as I've watched people use the internet to grow, there's two paths people have taken. And most people have figured out how to kind of grow their brand. Yeah. And I'm on the Inc. list because I know how to grow a business. So we do over $1 million a month in sales every single month, recurring revenue. I'm, running one of the fastest growing companies in the history of Florida State alumni. And so I think the difference between myself and some like influencers or people that have online brands is that I've actually figured out how to make dollar bills come out of the bottom of my funnel, not just followers and likes. So that is why for me, the internet is very real because it's changed my life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super good. I was just at a conference this past weekend, and a lot of influencers and a lot of hype around this idea of influencers. And I'm like, it's when you said that, like brands versus business, it's like, yeah, that's the difference. It's like, is what they're building, is that sustainable? I don't know. But the stuff that you're talking about, the stuff that's in your book, like those are the things that you can build a business around, not just getting more likes and more followers. I think that's really good, man.
Thank you. And that was kind of the concept, right? You take the old school sales, boiler room business mindset, and then you layer in social in the new world that we live in. And it really is a perfect storm. But unfortunately, a lot of people, they either want to do all the new stuff, or they want to just be old school and do the old stuff. And so I think the people listening, if there's something that they should try to be, it's both. Yeah. You have to do the basics and the bleeding edge. Right. And a lot of people just do one or the other.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's golden. And then there's a lot of guilt for somebody like me for a long time that sees people that, kind of do similar work to what we're doing, but they spend so much time online, and they're, they've got incredible Instagram following and, incredible YouTube subscribers. And I'm just like, oh man. But then, I have felt bad for me and my business and like, oh man, we're not doing enough. But then I look at our business, I'm like, wait a minute, we have a profitable business. And, rewind a bunch of years ago, it used to just be me, but I have multiple employees now and I'm building something. So I just, for you who's listening, don't feel that guilt of like, oh man, I need to, really get my Instagram followers up to 100,000 before I'm worth anything. Like that's not exactly what Chris is saying. Like that's not the thing that grows a business. It's like figuring out how to get, your 10 followers or your 20 followers to actually become customers that give you the dollar bills, I like to call them.
Exactly. What's interesting about what you said there, you made me think of something, which is, every person you look up to looks up to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And the greatness is achieved by never being happy with the rung of the ladder you're on right now.
Yeah.
And so that to me is sort of like, you've got to always be leveling up, but you've always got to be bothered by the people ahead of you. I can tell you that even some of the largest influencers and some of the largest companies that have the most money, they get jealous. C-level people at multi-billion-dollar companies have been mad that my Twitter following is bigger than theirs. Like, that's real. And I personally don't get it, but I kind of do. Because when you're going after legacy and money, the followers sometimes and the comments and the views and the engagement for many people like myself, that is success.
Yeah.
The money, and this is something I learned at Quicken, money and numbers follow actions.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm doing is I'm just doing all the actions that I think are the right actions.
Yeah.
And the money and the numbers are following those actions. So, the analogy I like to use is if you think about a rainbow, most people are going after the pot of gold at the end of it. And I think rainbows are gorgeous. Like, why not enjoy the rainbow? Why not enjoy the ride, the journey, the work? Why only define success as the outcome of the work and the material things that the outcome of the work gets you? You're going to never be happy, quite frankly.
Yeah, and it's like the journey or the rainbow is much longer. There's just much more to enjoy.
Yeah. You know what's going to happen when I sell Curaytor one day? I'm going to take a week off, okay? I'm going to pop bottles. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to buy my mom a house. I'm going to buy my dad a car, like all the stuff that an athlete would do or a lottery winner would do. And then about 8 days after, I'm going to start itching. And I'm going to miss it.
Yep.
And I'm going to go invest in 10 more Curaytors. And I'm going to pack my damn schedule with meetings with all of those people. And I'm going to take on all their stress. You know what I'm saying? Because I really don't know what I would do if I didn't have a gratifying career.
Yeah.
Retirement is not the Mecca. Acquisition is not the Mecca, at least for me. And for a lot of people, I just think they're thinking backwards.
It's hilarious listening to you. You talk really slow compared to listening to you on Audible at 2x multiple times. I'm like, man, like it's like kind of rocked my world a little bit.
Yes. Well, I am from the South, my friend, and we talk a little slower down here, but thankfully Audible has an app for that.
So give us the nuts and bolts of Curaytor for people that aren't familiar with you and what Curaytor is and does.
Yeah. Well, Curaytor, what we do is we are better at marketing than everyone else. I mean, and by everyone else, I mean people who don't do marketing full time. Mm-hmm. And that actually is a lot of people. So if you're a real estate agent, and that's who we primarily work with, real estate agents, they have a lot of jobs, right? They've got to go to listing appointments. They've got to negotiate prices. They've got to present offers. They got to go like hammer the sign in the yard, right? They've got to go get mail printed to do their postcards, around the listing. They've got to work with the photographer. They've got to work with the stager. Not to mention, they've got to deal with a bunch of other realtors, half of who are idiots, quite frankly. And so you have to do all that. And then, go learn how to be good at email marketing, Marge. Hey, Stan, why don't you go figure out how user tracking and funnels work? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They don't want it. They like what they do. And there is so much to marketing now that they would rather someone write the email for them.
Right.
They would rather someone design the Instagram post for me, and then I'll post it. Tell me what to say, and then I'll say it. Or better yet, just do it for me. I don't even want to do it. I don't even want to touch it. And so, like, that's what they're doing right now. They're doing better marketing than the clients they work with could. And they're doing it at a fraction of a cost of hiring a full-time marketing person or an agency. And so we are a marketing company in a world obsessed with technology.
Yeah.
CRM, MailChimp, Salesforce, HubSpot, landing pages, capture rate. Like, who cares? Like, people want to make money. They want more customers. They want more appointments. They want more revenue. They are not as romantic about how they get there as a lot of people think. They want results. They don't necessarily care about how those results happen. My dad here in Central Florida, a lot of people play golf. Okay. When you play a hole of golf, at the end, you put a number, right? Now, nobody saw that you hit it in the woods. You know what I'm saying? Then you hit it in the water. And then you got lucky as hell on your third shot. And then you made a putt you've never made in your whole career to get lucky again. That's a par, right? Golf is about results. When somebody's done, they say, what was your score? They don't say, how many times did you hit it in the woods? You see what I'm saying? So marketing, at the end of the day, if you do your own marketing, if you hire a full-time marketing person, or if you work with us, what are you ultimately looking for? You're looking for results. And you're going to quit doing any of those things if those results aren't there. So when I say we're better at marketing than you, what I mean is we are better at doing marketing that touches the whole funnel, that touches leads, that touches past clients, that hits them on Insta. You know, there's this concept of omni-channel. Well, there's a lot of channels. Like, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's LinkedIn, there's Twitter, there's email, there's blogs. And so we literally write the words, do the design work, and we hand that to our customers at level 1. At level 2, we do it for them. Mm-hmm. And we're on the Inc. list, and I think we have about 1,000 customers, and our average customer has about 5 people on their team. Mm-hmm. So there's 5,000 people, using Curaytor to run a better business. And it's really a nice compliment, because one of the things I say in my book is that the fortune is in the follow-up. The fortune is on the phone. The fortune is in face-to-face. What we do is just give you more at-bats like that. That's all a marketing company does, is we set it up. You still got to knock it down. Mm-hmm. You still got to close them. You still got to convince them. You still got to have great reviews from the people you've worked with in the past. So that's kind of Curaytor in what I would call a large nutshell. That was not a quick explanation, but that's one of the better ones I've probably ever given, quite frankly. Solid.
Yeah, I was just looking for like one sentence though. So
yeah, we're a marketing company that's better at marketing than you. There you go.
I would say, from the video producer perspective, from somebody that does video, the challenge that so many of us face is that, today video, like, that's what, so many people should be doing if they're not, to help market their business. So a lot of us find ourselves, whether or not we want to market ourselves, we have the tools, we kind of have the know-how how to create something that's engaging. Hopefully we're all creating stuff that is intended to get people to watch it.
Yep. So
one of the challenges that we have is kind of like, where should we be drawing the line? What for somebody who feels like, especially for a really small studio that might be 1, 2, or 3 people big, that might feel the pressure of like, oh, we got to be, posting on Instagram all the time, or we got to maintain a YouTube page, or, essentially to market ourselves. Like, what would you say to somebody that's kind of like really trying to figure that out, knowing that, we have some great tools, and then we also have some know-how, at least at the core of like storytelling or marketing or whatever that thing is, that could help get our name and our face out there?
Yeah. The first thing I would say is that you don't have to. but your competition is going to.
That's good.
So you don't have to, but don't be mad at me 5 years from now when your business is smaller, not bigger. The thing that has to happen here is very simple. You have to redefine the finish line. Okay. Let me explain what I mean by that. The finish line is not when the final edit of the video you made is done. And unfortunately, whether you're a blogger or whether you're a YouTuber or whether you're a podcaster or whether you're doing video production, unfortunately, people have falsely put the finish line when the work is created. And what we've taught over the last few years that really stuck with people is called CAB. Okay. And I would call it CASE or CAB, which is create, advertise, blast, right? Or create, advertise, social, email, right? And what we kind of refer to all of that as a post-publish strategy. You guys put hours and weeks and maybe even months into the C.
Right.
And then you put like minutes or seconds or hours, right? Into the A and the S and the E.
Right.
And what I try to, because I have very creative people that work for me. And I am so inspired by the work they do. I am so jealous that they can do stuff I can't do, especially with video editing and, like you said, storytelling. Like I was watching the Dwayne Wade commercial yesterday that Budweiser put together through VaynerMedia, Gary Vee's company. And I mean, it's just like tissues.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's just like storytelling and video are perfect for social. So you're right. Like, why in the world, and this is what I tell Annette on our social team, why would you want to create fire and then not go let everybody see it? I don't get that.
No.
For me, I'm not driven by the content creation. I'm not happy because the video turned out good. That does not make me happy. Now, I'm not going to be happy if the video doesn't turn out good. But what makes me happy is when that video gets distributed. That is where the magic happens. That is where we get that oxygen from the comments, where we get that engagement, where we get people going, man, you guys are sharp. Now, here's what's really cool about long form video as something you do. It actually can create a ton of content for social by one, stripping out some of the highlights, like don't give them the film on Instagram, give them the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you think about things like Twitter and stories and Facebook and LinkedIn and all these places that you can syndicate, at this point, it's really about just going into Adobe Premiere and switching sizes. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, are you going to be so mad that you have to do Instagram that you won't click a button and switch it from 16:9 to 9:16? Like, I get it. You might have to move the thing a little. Like, I know how this stuff works a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I get it. But like the ability to sort of create once and then distribute everywhere as a whole, but then to be able to distribute everywhere with the highlights only, and then to be able to go back and grab the feedback of the people that consumed it, that's the next campaign. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying? So like, we did a big launch on Instagram recently where we only used Instagram for 2 straight weeks to promote the fact that we can now help people with their Instagram. We got 100% of our leads through DMs, through comments, through people tagging people. It blew up. My first thought was, we're not going to be on Facebook. We're not going to be on email. We're not going to get the most out of this. But because we challenged ourselves to get really creative on Insta, we did better work there. So if somebody is standoffish, like if you are creative and you publish a video and you then don't want that video to be seen by the world, you're not going to get to be as creative as you want. You're going to have smaller budgets, less clients, right? Like
the things we all want.
The things we all want are not going to happen if you, there's a thing in real estate they joke about. They say, don't be a secret agent. Like, if you're a secret agent, if people don't know you're an agent, that's not good.
Right.
So there's a lot of secret video people. Like, they do the video, but they're just, again, they get that dopamine and they get that sort of feeling of accomplishment from the final edit. And if you just redefine the finish line and you just make it this one conveyor belt, and you have a checklist in Basecamp, right? Like, post publish strategy, we're going to put it here, put it here, put it here. And let success be finishing that list is all I'm saying.
I think that's super good to redefine that, because for so many, it's like, you know, we're next week, we're flying to Florida. We're going to be there for a week. We're creating this piece on cattle and steak at the end of the day. And it's going to be a big project, right? We're going to have a ton of footage. And at the end of the project, you know, when we deliver, we've got a long format and a short format. And I know when we deliver to the client, the tendency is to exchange high fives, take a deep breath and be like, man, because, you know, we put our heart and soul into these pieces. And so it's hard to, like, mentally, when that's the finish line, when that's the defined finish line that you've explained so eloquently, then it's like, why, you know, I've only got 2 minutes to craft this into a quick little Instagram post. But if we build that into our process, into the project, you know, when we land this project, always we've got the post delivery phase, which is like how we're going to market this thing so that people actually see it. And ideally there is some sort of, like, you know, call to action to get people to reach out or to comment or to engage in some way.
Let me ask you a quick question. You don't have to share this if you're not comfortable, but approximately what are they paying you for the cattle job? Is it 5,000, 10,000, 25,000?
More than all of that.
Okay, good. So I'm going to just, and again, this is not real, I'm making this up, but let's say it's 50K.
Okay.
If I'm a freaking cattle guy and I'm going to give you 50K to do this video, you don't think I'm going to give you 60 to go promote it too? So what you're afraid of is actually revenue. Because, like, you don't think, do you think the dude that needs you to do the cattle video, like, has some girl that's good at social? No. So, like, build it into the contract, make money from the fact that you will actually email it for them. Like, you do not want the video to get cobwebs, so we'll add the video to your website. We will put the video in and out on Facebook. We will email the video to your list. We will tweet the video. We will Instagram. Like, even if you don't do it for yourself and for your own portfolio through your channels, do it for them and charge them. I mean, I think they would check that box all day long.
Where were you a month ago?
Well, maybe you should just show up and say, hey, we're thinking about beta testing a new service. It's going to be an extra $5,000. And if you want that, here's what we'll do.
Yeah.
We will re-optimize this video for every social network and post it for you. Dude, email me. Try it. Email me. I almost guarantee you they'll say yes based on how much you're already charging.
I love that. Man, that's super good. That's worth the cost of this episode here.
And then you're going to do it, because guess what people like to do? They like to do what's in the contract, right? So if it's in the contract to perform those tasks, then it better be at Basecamp to complete those tasks, right? Because if not, you don't get paid, right? Like, literally, like, I don't know how you guys get paid, half up front or half at the end, or kind of the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. But, like, make it in the contract level that you don't get paid until you promote your work on social, and then you'll promote your work on social, because everybody needs to get paid.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's really good. Thank you for that. So, you know, I would say a lot of frustration for you know, people like me, video production people. We need more at bats, right? We're not really good at filling our buckets with opportunities, because once we get somebody that needs a video and that's sort of in the budget range and kind of stylistically, you know, aligns with us, it's super easy for, like, any of us to close that. But it's getting to that point where, you know, it's like, yeah, this is a good fit client. What's something that you see that most creative businesses like this should start doing immediately?
Well, they have to have leads. Like, you need leads coming in semi-regularly. Like, if you don't have sort of leads coming to you, if you're always chasing the ambulance, you're going to always be a sleazy lawyer.
Yes.
You want to be a doctor.
Yeah.
You want the people to come to you, and like what you're explaining in sales, we call a layup. Like you don't get a lot of credit for the layup. Sorry, everybody. Oh, we love you. We're ready to hire you. We've got a big budget. We can work on whatever time frame you want. Close me. And then you're going to pat yourself on the back. No, the ones that you should be proud of are the ones where you know there's 3 other firms bidding on the project. You know the person's going to be tough to close, and you're going to have to really present your case, poignantly. So I think that's a big part of it, is sort of knowing that ultimately it's up to you to get that business. I kind of lost my train of thought there.
Well, so like, wanting more at bats, wanting more of those opportunities.
Yeah. So thank you. Let me give you guys all something you can try today, because here's what I think would be challenging. Number one, and I have a guy that lives here locally, and he does video production for businesses, and he stays pretty busy. And I give him as much advice as I can, because he's local and he works for a great charity. And one of the pieces of advice that I gave him is that if you go after everybody, you won't get anybody. And that's what I think is really tricky for you guys, because you want to go do ads that get you leads, but then you do an ad for your portfolio of work. And your portfolio has 6 different industries. You did a cattle guy, you did a shoe company, you did a like, you see what I'm saying? And so now you're kind of say, hey, here's our reel. Right. Well, I don't care about your reel if I'm a lawyer. I only care about your lawyer reel. See what I'm saying? And so what we've learned the hard way is that if you go after small businesses, you will go broke. Okay? Small businesses is not a category.
Right?
Like they call it the Fortune 5 million. There's 5 million of them.
Oh, man.
So you're going to go broke if you do what I call vanilla marketing through advertising to attract small businesses who need videos. You need to look at your reel and say, what is the best industry? And then even if you have to build like a lot of funnels, you should have a funnel per industry. And then when you go to do things like ad targeting, guess how much smaller the audience is when you say, show this to realtors, not show this to small business people. It's so much cheaper. And then for the person seeing it, it's so much more relevant. Like, so for them seeing it, they don't have to connect the dots. They know that you show, there's one of my buddies, Phil Jones, show me that you know me, right? Show me that you know me in your marketing. Show me that you know me in your reel. Show me that you know me in your copy, in your landing page. And so when you try to do marketing for all these businesses, it doesn't connect to any of them.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I think everybody should do, and it is a little tricky, I'm sure, if you don't know which vertical the lead's coming in through.
Right.
Okay. And maybe you don't even know a lot about the vertical, like that you want business from. So like if you're getting this cattle gig and there's other guys like him around the country that have budgets like that, like you should be already thinking like, how are we going to turn this work into more work? Mm-hmm. And so what I would recommend doing, and this is something anybody can do, is if you go to BuzzSumo, okay? It's a website called buzzsumo.com, and you put in a keyword like cattle. It will show you the current and recent most popular content on the internet, on social media that has that industry or keyword. And so now all of a sudden, you know, whereas you may not feel like you really know what's going on in the cattle industry, BuzzSumo will say, hey, here are the articles that have the most Facebook and, you know, tweets with that keyword. Mm-hmm. And that will kind of, one, educate you quicker about who you're going after, but two, it will basically give you proven ideas for what I call a lead magnet, okay? So if one of the things that's getting kind of buzzed about in real estate is, let's say, is Zillow too expensive? Like Zillow has gotten really expensive for agents as their brand has grown. Well, if I know that that is a popular and common search or a popular and common thing on social, then that just proved that should be an ad campaign. Like what is the opportunity cost of Zillow? Find out how much you could be getting off of Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and email if you did drop your Zillow investment. So I'm not guessing that that's going to work. I know it's going to work because there's that social signal that it's interesting to people and they'll click on it. So anyway, BuzzSumo is a great one. There's another tool called like Uber Suggest, and that's where you would basically, give it one keyword like cattle, right? Or like, let's call it marketing or whatever it may be, attorneys. And then it'll actually show you all of the other most popular words that are sort of like that word, kind of like a Google keyword tool, but a much simpler version to use. So you can sort of like, what I'm getting at here is you need leads. Yeah. And to get leads, you got to be relevant and you got to make offers people are willing to give their information away for. So by going after a vertical at a time, everything becomes relevant. And then by actually establishing kind of lead magnets that are already proven to work, you're going to build a funnel worth having versus like you could just try stuff for years, quite frankly, and never get any of your ideas to stick.
So as a production studio, we've got these two terms. I'm familiar with them. We're trying them. You've got funnel and you've got lead magnets. Mm-hmm. For somebody who's never created a lead magnet and doesn't, their idea of a funnel is like, somebody calls us, so we kind of have a call with them and talk through whether this is a good fit, and then they book us or they don't, right? That's the funnel. Can you kind of give us an idea of what a possible lead magnet might be for a lawyer and what that funnel could look like?
Yeah. So a lead magnet, to be very clear, is something that you can offer someone that they would find more valuable than their name, phone number, and email. Okay. So if I'm an attorney, I would want to download something like watch this video about how you can get more cases and more clients. You can get 7 times more clients if you actually use video in your marketing. So like I'm an attorney and it's like, what I want is 7 times more clients. So when I see that and then I see video, it's like, okay, that is sort of like something that, okay, I'll give you my name, phone number, and email to learn how that works, right? So that would be kind of an example. But when I talk about a funnel traditionally is taught as a top of a funnel, and then you're kind of trying to move them down it, right? Like I said, you want money to come out the bottom. Well, the top of the funnel, think of that as what can I put out there to the world that people who have no idea who I am will click on that might buy something in the future. So in the same scenario, that sort of lead magnet that I'm talking about, you could actually not make people register for that same thing, and then it would be more of a top of the funnel thing. By making them register, that's more of a bottom of a funnel tactic. Mm-hmm. So what you want to do is identify like a good ratio of content where it's like, okay, we know what gets the most traffic at the top, and we know what gets the most leads at the bottom. And then you just keep creating more like that, putting more budget on that, creating more like that, putting more budget on that. So it's a combination between like, think of it as what would go as viral as possible. Because if you get a click, so let's say you get the guy clicks over, the attorney, 7 secrets to getting more business using video for lawyers. And he's reading the secrets. And then like secret number 8 is PS, bonus secret. We can do the videos for you, and we can actually get you more clients without you doing anything. You should be in the courtroom. Click here to learn more. See what I'm saying? So that is like what I call a trapdoor technique, where you bring people in at the top, but you give them a clear path to the bottom. And so then all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't really mind publishing blogs and putting out content if I know every time I do, people might click through and become a lead. Yeah. So it's sort of taking the two, top and bottom, making it as one thing, so that every time you publish something at the top, you give yourself a chance for a lead. But then every time you publish something at the bottom, you have to understand that you're not going to get 100% like to convert. So let's say your kind of form, your lead magnet, let's say it gets a 20% conversion rate. 2 out of every 10 are going to do it. Well, what should we do with the 8 of the other 10 that don't? And that's where things like retargeting come into play. And that's where things like what I call losing them to yourself. So even if you go to a form, you can have a little copy that says, hey, if you're not ready to fill that out, you can just read a case study. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So now I've got bottom of the funnel stuff, taking people to the top of the funnel, taking people to the bottom. That's purposeful marketing. Mm-hmm. That makes it exciting to hit publish and distribute it. Right. Because then like you can kind of wait, like ching, ching, there's a lead. Okay, there's another lead. So in my book, I say you got to be purposeful. You can't be passive. And I say that if you build it, they won't come. If you build it and promote it, they will come, which is kind of our earlier point.
Yeah, and that's, part of what Chris is saying is that, you can make this stuff, but, if you're not, creating some kind of a Facebook ads campaign and not just boosting a post, but like creating some kind of a campaign that's going to target the specific market. That's what I think is so good. Not small business owners, right? Yeah. But lawyers or, whatever.
Listen, I tried this. Let me be very clear. Okay. Curaytor dominated a vertical, real estate. We then said, we're going to go dominate auto, fitness, and mortgage. But instead of going after one at a time, we just bundled them and we sort of said, hey, we can help small businesses now. And it was a very costly mistake, my friend, because the time and money and effort that we put out, we weren't able to, get the ROI we could have had we gone more niche, and B, we also weren't able to service the clients the best we should have. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing is like, if you become the preeminent cattle videographer, right? Like, the whole thing.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So we became the preeminent real estate marketing company, but that doesn't mean we know cars, and that doesn't mean we know fitness. So I'm really passionate about this vertical at a time advice because I lost a lot of money trying to do it the more vanilla, cast that wide SMB net. And it almost wasted a year of my time, and it wasted a ton of my money. So if people can avoid that mistake, they should. Now, there will be a point, like we talk about Google a lot at our company, like once Google has AdWords, which is their billion dollar cash cow, they can go do Google Glass. They can go try Wi-Fi in a hot air balloon kind of stuff, right? But if AdWords isn't there, none of those things happen. So think of it that way, like get a vertical coming after you, and then get a couple more. And then at the point where like you're dominating those three and the revenue is good, then go wide, then go vanilla, then go fishing and see what you can catch. But if you do it too soon, you could go out of business, quite frankly. And the other thing is you'll get so frustrated that you won't want to do any marketing, and then you'll give up again. Be back where you started, which is inaction. Yeah. Never a good idea.
It's so interesting. I've learned a lot over the years, and it's so interesting that, I realized I'm like, we had a lot of success early on, and it was the first 6 months of me doing video. I was doing video at our church. I was doing video at the college that I went to. I was doing video for, grandpa's 80th birthday. I was doing video for, 6 months in, I finally shot a wedding, and I lit up. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I could create a wedding film that could change a couple's legacy. And I'm like, I gotta get behind that. So for the next, almost 10 years, our focus was wedding films, right? That was our niche. So it was so easy to speak to that audience. I felt I was so confident to talk to a bride or to a mother of the bride. I just knew all of their pain points. I knew the things that would hold them back from hiring us. When I talked to dad or the groom, I would know how to make them laugh and how to get them to feel comfortable. I had a conversation yesterday with this small studio, these two guys, and they're like, yeah, we're kind of wanting to do 2 different industries. And I was like, listen, I hired a prospecting company to help us a couple of months ago, and their focus is like foundations and churches, people that need to raise money and get volunteers. I know that world. I know those pain points. And what I found, I discovered as I'm having these phone calls that this company is like sending us these leads. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I know just like when we were doing weddings, when we shifted from weddings to business, I'm like, well, we help small businesses, right? We market to everybody. You go to our reel right now, don't do it, but you're going to see a bunch of different companies. Sure. And what I'm realizing is like, oh my gosh, as soon as I start speaking to one audience and I have, 10 calls in a row with different people that all have the same need at the end of the day, they need to raise more money to keep their thing going. They need more volunteers. Those are the things that I can talk to. And then my confidence is building. I'm like, that's the same thing. That's how I ruled that when we were doing wedding films. Now we're sort of saying like everything that you're saying it makes so much sense, but I feel like there's a fear in so many of us as filmmakers and business owners that we just have to scramble in whatever's out there. We just have to go after, and whatever we think might be a good thing, we go after. That doesn't work. Okay, let's try this thing over here. But I just love that you're kind of saying like, no, come back home, pick something, pick a very specific industry and focus there. I think that's just, that's gold, man.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, one of the things that I struggled with that at first was like, I want to believe that my advice is bigger than just helping realtors. I know that is true.
Right.
And my long-term goals are much bigger than just being like a real estate guru. But at the same time, I had this really successful coach come to me and he said, Chris, you do realize that real estate is a $1 trillion industry. Like, do you really need to go after a couple more, or like, is there maybe a lot you could do in this one first? And that's really what I thought about. Was like, it's $1 trillion industry. And, it's one of those things where there's people driving by that know me.
You're so famous, man.
Yeah, it's funny. That's actually one of my friends from high school. He's doing work over here.
Maybe.
Yeah, it was so funny. I was talking to my daughter one time, and she said, "Daddy, are you famous?" I said, Maya, have we ever been out and about and somebody stopped me and asked to talk to me? And she said, no. I said, well, then I'm clearly not famous. And as I say that, from 2 blocks down the street, a guy goes, Chris Smith, oh my God. Like on cue, my first run in. And then it was funny because I was at my daughter's volleyball tournament about a month ago. And you were saying my name earlier, Chris. It's very common, Chris Smith. It's as common as it gets. And so I go to my daughter's volleyball match about a month ago, and I'm walking to my seats in the bleachers, and this guy screams, Chris! And I just ignored it because I have such a common name. That just happens a lot. So I don't just turn. Right. And I hear it again, Chris! So I kind of look over, and the guy comes running over to me and like basically gives me a bear hug. And he's like, I love your podcast, man. I'm a volleyball coach, but I'm a realtor. And so it's like, okay, boom, boom, two times. But what's funny is I go into the environment. If I go to a conference in my industry, you would think I was a rock star.
Sure. Yep.
And the second that I leave, I'm not. And I like that. I actually really like that. I like having that sort of moments of fame, and then being able to kind of go be a regular dude. And because it's very fake. It's when you go from, being at a conference to having kids, and I live in East Orlando, like it keeps you really grounded. But I thought that was funny. But the idea is like, let's be very clear here. It's way easier to get famous in one industry than in all of them.
Yeah. Yep.
Like I got a buddy that does documentary filmmaking. His name's Josh Hasty. He's a good guy. He's done some work for me in the past. And he did a documentary with Rob Zombie.
Oh.
Where he did the behind the scenes for one of Rob's films. So kind of the bonus footage, right? The documentary, the film behind the film. And he, was really good at it. So then he spun that off into producing his own independent horror film. But then Guns N' Roses called and said, hey, we know you did a documentary with Rob Zombie. Now, it wasn't a music documentary.
Yeah.
But they said, we loved it. We watched it. It was great. We've seen your work. can you go on a worldwide tour with us and film the Guns N' Roses documentary? Like, that's what he's been doing for 18 months now. So one of the lessons I've gotten is like, think bigger.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And so I'm kind of giving like, think small to get big. Mm-hmm. Go dominate that niche. Go be the most influential videographer in X. And I bet you'll end up on the main stage of the normal videographer conferences too. I've spoken at HubSpot.
Yeah.
I get hired by huge corporations to teach their inside salespeople that don't sell real estate. See what I'm saying? So it happens, but I don't know that I would have gotten half the stuff I've gotten if on day one I was like, hey, I've got good business advice for any business person. I don't know if anybody would have watched. Like, you know, and the people I admire, they're the same. Grant Cardone, I'm not a huge fan of his, but his success is obvious. And he was the car sales guru. That was it. Gary Vee was the wine guru. That was it. Like, I am a real estate marketing and sales guru. That's it. Yep. But man, notice how those folks are leveling up and like now they're mainstream. Now they got TV shows. Like, so it happens, but it's patience and then it's precision. That would be how I would sum that up.
Chris, this is awesome. I feel like we could talk for another hour. I want to honor your time. I'm so thankful. This was filled with all sorts of goodness. I'm going to listen to it 3 times at 2x.
Cool.
Thank you so much. How can people connect with you, follow up with you, check you out online, all that stuff?
Well, I'm big on the gram. I'm not going to lie. I'm big on the gram right now. I'm on Instagram every day. We've been investing a lot of time there. And my name is very common, so I'm a little trickier to find. But if you put in Chris_SMTH, no I in Smith, I have all my branding stuff is red. So you'll see red shoes and you'll see a Jordan logo on my shirt. But people can connect with me on Instagram. My email address, I give that out in my book. I'm happy to have anybody that listened today personally email me and let me know they did. Chris@Curaytor.com, CURAYTOR.com.
Awesome, man. Thank you. So excited, so happy for all of your success and looking forward to much more from you. Thank you again for hanging out with us today.
No problem.
All right, my friend. Thank you for listening. You can get all of the show notes at studiosherpas.com/122. There will be links to the stuff that Chris and I talked about, books, et cetera, et cetera. And now for a podcast review on the iTunes store. This one comes from Colzer Photo Video. I really appreciate this podcast. It's helped me so much hearing how others got started in video business and helped give me structure I needed and the inspiration to not give up and narrow down goals and stay focused. I've only listened to 5 episodes so far, but I'll keep listening. Thank you. Colzer Photo Video, thank you for taking time to give us a review. I'm so happy to hear that you've listened to 5 episodes and that you said you've only listened to 5 episodes, but you're going to keep listening. That is super fun. You can do the same thing. You can leave a review on the iTunes store. I told you my goal is 100, and we're inching closer to 100 reviews on the iTunes store. We'll get there. studiosherpas.com/iTunes. Stop right now and go vote. Just kidding. It's not vote. Just do that thing. And then lastly, just one more reminder about the Onward Summit. My friend, if you feel like you're on an island and you need some accountability in your business, you don't answer to anybody except for maybe your significant other, your spouse, or whatever, this is going to be a great opportunity for you to meet some other people that are trying to do the same thing that you are trying to do, which is to build a video business that is sustainable. So if you're a freelancer, it's still a business. This is something that you are building and growing and hopefully building and growing. And so we're going to get together for 3 days. By the time it's over, we're going to be like, holy cow, that was so short. Holy cow, that there was a pun in there from like earlier, the cow film that we're working on. Anyway, if you come, it's in Detroit, June 2nd through the 4th. You can get more information at studiosherpas.com/onward. But you're going to be able to meet other studio owners and make some new friends. There's going to be inspirational from some super successful and very authentic business leaders that we're all going to be able to learn a ton from. You're going to get solutions to some of your big business challenges, and then you're going to get some ideas on how to grow your video business. And there should be lots of laughs, some meals that we'll share together, and it should just be a good time. So hopefully you will be there, because I would love to see you there. That would be it would just be really special to have you there. That's it. I've said all I'm going to say for now. So, my friend, here's to another week. Focus. Stay clear on your goals. Know what your goals are. Define them if you don't have them, and move toward them. Make great things and be great to others. Keep on climbing. Talk to you soon. See ya.